We have a really great group today.
Awesome.
I saw Pat um, Rhodes. Is that your parent, one of your parents?
Yeah, that's my mom. Yeah.
Oh,
She was like, "Can I get the link?" I have somebody who just texted me and said they were waiting for the link to come through, that they had just filled it out. Does it automatically get sent out to them?
no, but I can text it. I can have somebody text it to them real quick.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey guys.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to our weekly lunch and learn. It's so great to see all of you. I'm going to go ahead and get started. We have an awesome group today. Okay. So a couple of Zoom rules for everybody who is either new or needs a refresher. We have a few people who are joining us that have joined us in the past. And just a refresher, please mute yourself when you're not speaking. We recommend speaker view for presentation. Video sharing is optional, though we love to see all of your beautiful faces. We also do a group shot at the end where we love to see all of your smiles. Please type all questions and comments into the chat. Please make use of the chat feature. We want to hear from you. We will have different opportunities to engage throughout this whole time, so you're welcome to use the chat as much as you want. A quick update from Autism Tree. We have now reached over 552,000 people through all of our social media channels. So thank you to everyone who has been following us. These stats are from March of last year. Our posts have been shared over 922 times. So thank you for sharing our content, and thank you to all of our volunteers who have submitted videos. We have a couple video series going on our YouTube channel. We've grown immensely throughout the past year, and we now have 350 videos on our YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed yet today, please do. We post on a weekly basis different ideas for kids and families to do at home. It's super easy. It takes 1 second. We've now posted 294 of those videos were posted since last March. So those were all from the help of our program managers, volunteers, people who really care about our community and have a heart, even parents who are submitting other ideas of what they're doing with their kids at home, so we can all stay connected during this time. We also started a Reading at Autism Tree series. We've posted 105 videos of our volunteers reading children's books to our kids and reached over 44,000 people just through that series. We've also provided 225 virtual events to date, and 21 events coming up between now and the end of April. We are constantly adding new events to our calendar. 19 of our programs have been transitioned onto virtual platforms since March of last year. So we are doing as much as we can to stay connected with our families, and we definitely want to see you on Zoom online. Thank you to everyone who's been joining us through our virtual events. So without further ado, I'll pass it off to Dana Hoff, and our volunteer executive director, and she'll introduce our special guest today.
Hi, ATPF family. I'm so happy to be here and just share that every week is a little bit of a journey. And it was really kind of cool because on our pre-call with Wendy, this is the first time that we've had someone come on twice. And I think it's no accident. Wendy is on our board and she's just infused so much love and positivity into our ATPF family. If you haven't seen her first lunch and learn that we did early in the pandemic, and we didn't even at that time have the kind of exact format that we have right now, I did introduce her in a personal way, but we didn't show photos like we do. And so I won't tell Wendy, we never know what each speaker is going to do. And that's just kind of been like everything. It really has. It is just, I definitely feel every week I grow in some way from each speaker. And maybe part of it is that Rebecca and I have no idea what the speaker is going to focus on whatsoever. And I think that is just a lesson in life that we're all going through, that each day we kind of don't know exactly what direction we're going to be focused on. But whatever presents us, I feel as a country and a world, we're learning to come together and just keep moving forward. And that is it's such a gift that Wendy reached out to us and said she just was feeling that she wanted to create more connection within our community. And there's no way to express the gratitude on that. I think it just came at such a wonderful, wonderful time. And Wendy, if you will today, I'm going to want you to share your original story that you shared with Laura and I when we first met you. We figured out on our call before we started today, Wendy and I, that that was in 2017, correct, Wendy? I think it was 2017 that we decided.
2016.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
something. I don't remember.
Yes, I love remembering like when was, I know the exact time when I met Wendy, but I mean, I really, it really matters to me. And sometimes after 17 years, remembering the exact date is a little challenging, but we do it and we did it. So I'm going to ask Wendy at some point before our call ends today to share the story she told the very first time I met her that will always stay with me. Wendy, we always start with a question, and sometimes I forget to ask the speaker what their answer might be. You don't have to answer, but I think I want to, instead of sharing my answer, let you answer if you want onto what do you do right now during the global pandemic that makes you feel connection? Do you want to answer that, Wendy?
Sure. Yeah. There's parts of this global pandemic that I have absolutely loved. The opportunity to slow down and to shift, to be home with my kids all the time was I think something I really needed, and I didn't realize I needed it. As hard as it is sometimes, that's what's made me feel connected, not necessarily to everybody out there, because we had to kind of shut ourselves away, but connected to what my why is, what my purpose is every day, because it's helped me to cut off things that I could tell weren't feeding me, things that were draining me. And so what I do to feel connected is I shut down. I turn everything off. I play music with the kids and with my husband, and we cook food and we dance around the kitchen. And those are my happiest moments where I feel connected. It's in those moments when we're all talking about things that I have my best ideas, that my husband and I back and forth figure out how we can make certain things happen or work. And that's how I felt connected, is just making sure that I'm speaking to things that inspire me and not forcing other connections to happen when they don't feel right, when it doesn't feel natural. So that's my connection.
I love that. I hope everyone else will type in your answers. We always send out a follow-up email after each Lunch and Learn, and we include your answers to the questions. And we love having people send in their photos that are included in the question, just to keep our community feeling like we're seeing each other. And I know for me, I feel that when I'm one-on-one with someone and out in nature, I feel so much more connection. I know Zoom is certainly better than nothing, and I look forward to our Lunch and Learn every week. But actually being with someone is just, so meaningful, especially more than ever since we haven't had it for, a good year. That was the first time in a year I was with our board member, Laura Odom, this last weekend. And it was really good. I feel like that after a year of not having any one-on-one time whatsoever, that we are talking on a whole different, deeper level on, like what you were saying, Wendy, on what is my why. And for that, I feel really blessed by that as well. I'm going to show a quick video, Wendy, that I picked out after thinking about what you told me you wanted to talk about today. So I hope you will all enjoy this. You included, Wendy. You are my inspiration for this video.
I think when people started to discover that we're able to function virtually, maybe we don't need our offices anymore. They're taking for granted, A, that the relationships pre-existed, that the trust pre-existed. That's number one. Number two, we're also starting to realize that being at home by ourselves or with our families the whole time, like, I actually would like to leave the house. you know? And you can't really have a great brainstorming session over Zoom. It just doesn't work. You know, there's something about being in person. And I think one of the things that people fail to recognize is that running a virtual organization is actually way more difficult than running an in-person organization. And the reason is because trust doesn't happen in a Zoom room. Trust doesn't happen in a meeting. Trust happens between the meetings. Isaac Stern, the virtuoso violinist, said, he said, music is what happens between the notes. And trust is the same. Trust happens between the meetings. It's when you're filing into the conference room and you're like, hey, Steve, hey, Bob, you know, it's like, hey, I heard your dad was sick. Oh, yeah, he's doing much better. Thanks for asking. It's when you leave and you walk down the hall to your offices and you keep talking and decisions are being made. It's having lunch together. It's bumping to each other in the hallway or at the copy machine. It's all of the in-between things that build trust. It's like a relationship. Like, you know, our spouses didn't fall in love with us because when we were on the date, or when we remembered their birthday or Valentine's Day. It happened in between. It's how we conduct ourselves and how we treat each other, you know, when I go to the fridge and I get a drink for myself, I bring you one as well without you asking. It's these little things that happen between the big events. And so I think that going back to the office, it's that fabric that holds us together. Nothing replaces human contact, nothing. We can mitigate it for a while, we can drag it out for a while, but at the end of the day, human contact and human interaction is where it's at.
I really love that, Wendy. You inspired me from our previous talks about what you wanted to do today with your Lunch and Learn. And I want to bring up the quote I picked out for you in your honor today. Connection, the energy that exists between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued, when they can give and receive without judgment, and when they derive sustenance and strength from the relationship. I love all the things you guys are typing in, and I just, you know, enjoy this time with you. And Rebecca, for some reason, I'm only seeing you on my screen. I don't know why.
Hold on one sec. I'll put you
Okay.
on.
Okay, sorry. Anyway, just wanted to say the biggest thing, Wendy, that I felt like I walked away from in our conversations and leading up to you doing our first second time speaker of, and again, you guys, if you haven't seen Wendy's first Lunch and Learn, I really would love you to watch it, because I think it's an evolving. Having Wendy come on a second time is, and also because she had you know, I think a vision today that I felt really connected to wanting you to do this exactly this time right now, Wendy, when I think we're all really more open after a year. I mean, this is our 42nd Lunch and Learn, and I think this conversation that you're bringing forward is so timely. And so I really welcome you guys not only to enjoy Wendy today, but go back to her first Lunch and Learn. And I'd love to share the photos that Rebecca put together of Wendy at ATPF. This is from December 2016. Well, that's what we were talking about. To present is when Wendy's been with Autism Tree. Here you see her at an event and also at the luncheon with all her crew. And 2018 there with her her love or evil hat that we love is the story behind that hat and how it all came about through her son Luca. It's just been an incredible blessing that Wendy and her husband Rob have put 2 golf tournaments on for Autism Tree and brought in their entire network and some big new sponsors. And these are just phenomenal photos here that show you just the energy and the love. One of my favorites is Wendy and her husband holding the Brighter Futures photo, and the second photo at the top, and then her husband with their son at the far right. I love them all, but I just, you know, the heartbeat is really their son Luca, and you can feel that in these photos. Thank you, Wendy, for doing 2 golf tournaments for Autism Tree, and for stepping up and wanting to do this Lunch and Learn and have all these different ideas to create connection and awareness in the community. And this was from the planning of our Sweet 16 Gala. I love this photo of you and your son at the 12th Annual Program Managers Meeting. I do want to share with everyone that we are working really hard right now on our first ever program managers meeting since 2008 that is going to be, I don't want to say done virtually. We have all the reports and we'll be sending them out, and we're super excited about it. But it usually takes us a month to do a program managers meeting, and I love the energy in that photo of you and Luca. You can just see all the excitement. And it's hard to believe, you guys, that that was last February, right before we went into shelter in place. So what a gift that we got to do that. You know, it's just incredible how much work goes into those annual meetings. And then you can see here, we had our first ever virtual board meeting. It was actually a fantastic turnout. And then this was just a few days ago. And it's just exciting to me, Wendy, that you bring a lot of new, fresh ideas to the foundation always. You always speak from, you know, your own experience, which is always evolving. And like I said, I would be sad if everyone didn't hear your original story about your son, Luca, and just say, you know, with huge gratitude and love, I carry that story, your mother's story about you and Luca with me, and it encourages me in the way that only you do, which is this, to celebrate, literally, you celebrate what makes your son different, and you celebrate his autism, and you don't want to cure his autism. And that's what brought you to Autism Tree. And so it's hard for me to put in words how much that means to me, other than to say that you mean so much to our entire Autism Tree family. And thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited, and it's so good to see a bunch of faces on here, some people that I recognize. Thank you guys for your time. I know that it's valuable, and I know that Zoom burnout is a thing. So I usually teach yoga on Zoom, and so I'm usually teaching people how to move. So if you guys all just like looking at me, it makes me feel a little awkward. So I'm going to make you do a little movement just to calm my nerves. And also it's a great little trick that I have Luca do when he's feeling Zoom burnout, and if you're wearing a mask all day. So you just have to take your hands, your fingers, little pincher fingers, and grab your ear lobes and pull them down. I have my AirPods in, so I can't, but pull them way down like you have super droopy long ears. And then hold out on the sides of your ears and pull them out like Mickey Mouse ears. It should feel pretty good, like really give them a pull. And then go up a little higher and pull them up and back like elf ears. Yeah. And then just give them a little rub wherever it feels good. Rub the ears like you're rolling out bread dough or sourdough loaf if you got onto that train this year. Good. And then release it down. Thank you. That just gets me into my comfort zone in my brain. My name is Wendy Garafalo. I am so excited to be here. I'm going to share my screen because my story is included in my slides so that I can stay on task. Otherwise, I might talk forever. Let me share screen. There we go. All right. Today, I'm going to talk about how to spread love for autism and create connections within our communities. It's something that's really made a difference in our world. And I also want to say, you know, this is our journey, and this is how we've chosen to take this autism journey with our son. It doesn't mean that it's yours. Like I always say to parents that I work with and new moms that are having babies, you are the perfect parent for your child, right? For nobody else's. Everybody's going to give you advice and think that they know better, but this was what we felt was best for us. And so I know a lot of families who don't want to share, and that's absolutely fine too, right? You know what's right for your family. This is just kind of what we found worked for us. And I want to show you the effects of our sharing our autism diagnosis and how it kind of fuels our movement. And this is Luca. Our story is that Luca was diagnosed just after he turned 4 with autism. And Luca is one of those rare kids in the smaller percentile or percentage that is overly verbal. So we didn't have a nonverbal kid. We had a very, very, very verbal kid, which was fun, and we thought it was amazing, you know. But it also came with echolalia, which we didn't know. We didn't know anything about. We knew nothing about autism. So that's why we didn't get a diagnosis until 4. But Luca was, this is my hashtag. I'm always posting stories about Luca, and I want to tell you where we started, and I always hashtag it Life with Luca. I was devastated when we got a diagnosis. I was devastated. I cried for days. I felt like I had done something wrong. You know, I went into that mode, and then I went into the mode of how do I fix it? And I don't, and part of the reason that I do share is that I don't want anybody to feel like that ever again. I think it was a necessary thing to go through to kind of rid myself of the expectations that I had. But it wasn't necessary. I just didn't know enough. So that's what I felt, that void. Luca was having multiple meltdowns a day for several hours at a time. He had, as I mentioned, echolalia, which means he just repeats everything. And he got so good at it that we didn't really notice. It was just how we communicated. It was really cute. We'd say, you know, are you hungry? And he'd go, you're hungry. We got really used to his verbal skills. He had a lot of OCD type behaviors, very, very rigid, you know, had to go one way at the bottom of the stairs, couldn't go the other way. He went through a light switch phase. He got obsessed with colors and then letters, which I'll get into in a moment, and the numbers. He gets into these obsessive sections, I'll call them, of time, where he goes into one thing for several months. He had very antisocial behaviors. He had an inability to recognize faces. And looking back, I think he definitely can recognize faces, but his echolalia and that response was just what took over. So, you know, even his family members, all of his aunts, they'd come over and he'd say, what's your name? What's your name? And like, I've known you your whole life. I'm your Aunt Tiffany. Like, you know who I am. So he wasn't waving, he wasn't pointing, and he definitely just did not understand pronouns at all. Everything was, you're hungry and you don't want a nap. Everything was you. He didn't understand I. So that's where we started. And we started into some ABA for about 2 weeks when something amazing happened, which changed everything for us. Luca at the time was obsessed with letters. He was really obsessed with fonts. Like, he was so obsessed with letters, he had taught himself to read. He was 4. He just took a book from me one night and he said, you do that. And he started reading the book. So he was obsessed with fonts and letters, and he would find them everywhere we would go. It would take so long at the grocery store because he wanted to take his time going down the aisle comparing the font on one pasta package to the font on another pasta package. But he'd really get frustrated. We had a few meltdowns when words were written on a glass window or a glass door, because when we'd go inside that store, the word would flip and it would be in reverse, you know, like sale or the name of the business. You'd go inside and it was backwards, and his little brain was just like, why are those letters backwards? And so we would go in and out of buildings several times, and I explained it to him as best as I could. You know, hey buddy, it's meant for you to read when you're on this side, and then once you go inside over there, it's not meant for you anymore. It's meant for somebody else to read when they walk by. And so it took about a month of that, of explaining that and going in and out of buildings and testing my patience a lot. When he was out in our backyard, and he used to go out there with his chalk and he would write letters for 6 hours, 8 hours sometimes, just writing, just chalk writing. And we had just put in some garden boxes. We were going to start growing some food. And so he was over by our garden boxes, and I noticed that he was writing something, and I walked out to see it, and he had written the word love on our garden boxes, but he had written it in reverse. And kids do that. He's 4, you know, and I said to him, you know, I love that you wrote it. I love that you wrote love on the garden boxes, buddy. How about we erase it and I'll help you write it the right way, from left to right, like we've been practicing. And he immediately stopped me and he said, no, mama. I wrote it that way so the plants could read it from the inside. And that's the moment that everything shifted. We were pretty newly diagnosed. He was in a specialized preschool. We had just started ABA. I walked in the house and I started canceling everything that I could. I canceled ABA. I just, in that moment, he showed me that his brain is amazing. And just because he sees things differently doesn't mean that it's wrong, doesn't mean that I have to fix it or correct it or make it right. That he gets to see the world in his unique way. And it became my role to share that with people, to share our journey and our story. Because Luca was vocal and verbal, I thought maybe, parents whose kids are nonverbal, maybe seeing some of what the things that Luca is saying or our experiences, maybe it'll help. That was my initial thought, and so we started sharing. It took a couple months for me to kind of grasp what it was going to be, but I typed up and shared the story of the Evil box, as we call it, and I got such a great response from people, because I was tired of explaining it to people one-on-one. I just kind of wanted everybody to know. My husband and I agreed that we were ready to share it, that we wanted people to see how awesome Luca is, and so through sharing, we started our company called Evil and started making shirts, because I'm like, how do we tell more and more and more people about what we're going through? And so we started making hats and shirts, and Luca got to design some, and they were all written in reverse, so that when you saw your reflection, right, you get a chance to read that message of love. And in Luca's mind, since that love was reversed, it wasn't for anybody else to read, it was to send that love into you. And so we just began sharing everything, and it made such a huge difference, right? We started doing the golf tournaments. We started just sharing our story through our shirts, through our hats, through our jewelry. Any chance that we could get to share, we were up for it. And so where we are now with Luca, in our life with Luca, what I feel like is, I feel like I'm walking with him instead of dragging him. So instead of pushing him to do things that are, like I said, with the connection at the beginning, pushing to do something that just doesn't feel right, I go with his interests. I follow his lead. You're obsessed with letters? Great, let's do letters. I used to print out lists and lists and lists of fonts, and we'd compare them and talk about them. He was obsessed with colors, which he's back onto colors now. It's so interesting. He has a big giant tub of crayons, and he can pull out one, or I'll pull out one, cover up the name of it, and he can tell you the name. His favorites are Tickle Me Pink, and they've got all these interesting names, which just make him laugh. But we use them to learn lessons about, right? We use them in social stories. We use whatever he's into to work on the things that we feel like will help him to thrive in the world. So we go with what he's interested in. He's doing great in third grade. I just had his IEP meeting yesterday. We got a report card a few weeks ago. He's doing awesome. He's been doing virtual school for a year now. He's home with me. He remembers people's names. He engages with peers in his own unique way. He makes up silly words, and most of the time nobody gets it, but the people around us are so supportive, and they know him now so well that they'll kind of go along with him. So he engages in his own unique way. His rigidity, that the OCD type behaviors, have shifted into just a hyper focus, because we've let him, as long as it's nothing that's harming, we've let him go where he goes. We let him shine in the areas that he wants to shine in. He's obsessed with jumping right now, and wants to box jump, and I think do parkour. So we've got him in a gymnastics class. We're letting him go with his interests, because it keeps him so happy. He's experiencing emotions. He's sad when somebody who we love leaves. They've been with us for a few days, and they leave. He gets really sad. He's going through those, and he's feeling them, and he's able to talk through them. He engages in pretend play. This took us forever, but it's so awesome to see. You can see him here dressed up as Harry Potter. He's pretty convinced, though, that when he turns 11, he's going to Hogwarts. I've fully gone into that lie with him, and he he is waiting for his letter. But it's helped him A, with reading comprehension, and B, with pretend play. He's really stepped into that. And he really wants to connect with people who are willing to listen to what he's interested in. So we're working on him listening to what you're interested in. We'll get there, but for now, he loves his life. He's a really, really happy kid. How did we get there? By sharing our story. I really do believe that, by being really open, and open with Luca as well. We started telling him in kindergarten. I noticed that, you know, he hears everything. He's got an amazing set of ears, and I knew he was going to hear that word, that his dad and I would be talking about it a lot. And so what I told him, I said, hey buddy, you're going to hear this word, autism, and every time you hear it, I want you to say to yourself, it means awesome brain, awesome brain. You have an awesome brain. It's called autism. That's what it is. He's had some amazing therapy. I mentioned that we stopped ABA because it wasn't a fit for us. It felt not great. He didn't like it. I didn't like it. We instead, we found a great occupational therapist who did, I feel like, what an ABA therapist would do, but in her own unique way. And she went with his interests, and it was amazing. We did our own speech training with More Than Words, my husband and I, which was great. We've had some great speech therapists at school. And then Avi, so that's not a therapy. ABI is not anything new. That's my daughter. She is his best therapist because she doesn't let him get away with anything. She holds him accountable, and vice versa. He doesn't let her get away with anything because he cannot break the rules, and she loves to. So they have such an interesting dynamic, and I think that she's really been his best therapy. We have engaged neighbors, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. People who are, I mean, even that picture of him, or this is actually a video, I'll show you if it works on here. There we go. Can you hear that?
You can see it. I can't hear it.
Okay, so that's him. He did 8,000. He did 8,000 hula hoops the other day, because Luca likes to take things to the extreme. And I think his sister's record before was like 800. And so he's like, I'm just going to blow it out of the water. And I was teaching for an hour, and I came downstairs, and he was like, you got to film this right now. And he's still counting. So he did 8,000 hula hoops. But our neighbors who live right there will write messages in their window for him, especially during Autism Acceptance Month. They did a bunch of blue hearts in their windows. So we have really engaged neighbors who are very, very supportive of Luca and our journey. We have an incredibly supportive community with the school, with you guys. We've done some education for the non-autism population. So Luca is mainstreamed, and so I took it on myself to make sure that as many people as possible at the school know who he is, know what autism is, and know how to engage with him. And so in that way, I feel like we have just embraced his diagnosis. And you can see if you can see the little heart picture. Luca used to, when I drop him off for preschool, he wouldn't even wave to me. It was like, okay, I'm just going with this new person. It doesn't even matter. Like, no emotion, just gone. And I would be sitting there at the gate, like waiting with my head in between two bars, like, bye buddy, I love you. And we went on a walk the other day, and he wrote me this note: thanks for listening to my plan about holding hands. That was a great idea. You're the best mama ever. His idea was we should all hold hands while we go for a walk. And just the way he's come around to, wanting to touch and feel that emotion and be close to you and connected to you. I can't leave the house without at least 3 hugs and kisses. Like hug and a kiss. Don't leave without a hug and a kiss. So we've come a long way with him. He's such an amazing kid. And I'll talk a little bit more about some specific things that we did. So at the school, how did we share and why did we share? When he was mainstreamed into kindergarten, I started looking at bullying statistics, which was maybe not a good idea because it scared me so much, especially when they got to middle school. And so I thought, what can I do now to help take that number down? And I wanted to share with his classmates. And we didn't go in saying, hey, this is Luca. Luca has autism. I just wanted them to know at that age what the word autism means. I thought if they knew what that word meant, then as they got older, they wouldn't be afraid of it, and they would just accept it as part of, you know, what's around them. Now with 1 in 50 kids diagnosed with autism, chances are there's going to be some in their class, you know, from here on out. So in kindergarten, I got approval. It took some time, but I came into his class. We read a story about autism, and then we did some sensory tables for all the 5 senses, and then we gathered the kids back up and asked questions about, you know, and how they could be a good friend to somebody with autism. Because we had done the sensory tables, we brought up, you know, that some of these kids have sensory sensitivities where the fire alarm might be really loud, so loud that it would hurt their ears, or certain textures around the room might not be comfortable. And then putting it on the cute little kindergartners to say, how could you be a good friend if you notice that somebody's bothered by a sensation? And they were just adorable. They were, you know, they were like, we could get headphones for them when the fire alarm goes off, and they were so cute. And my purpose, again, my why, was just to let them hear that word and to not associate it with any fears or anybody who's awkward or weird or different, but just to know that it exists out there, and to know the why behind why maybe somebody is flapping their arms, or you know, having a moment because there's something going on that is making that person uncomfortable. And then I've done things for the entire school. Joel Anderson came and did an assembly, which was amazing. I volunteer a lot at the school, so this picture is of Luca at a running race that they do to raise money for the school, and this was first grade. And he was running laps around. It's this short little track. And I noticed these like 5 kids lined up along the track, older kids. And so I was like, what's going on over there? So I walked over, and as I got closer, I could hear them. Every time Luca came around, they were like, go Luca, yeah, Luca. And they were patting, they were high-fiving him. And he had just the biggest smile on his face every time he came around to these kids. And so I took a picture of them. And I walked over to the principal, and I said, you know, just for the purposes of asking who these kids are, I showed him the picture, and I said, who are these kids? And can I meet with them? And how can we make sure that things like this keep happening at this school? And he was so excited, because he said they were 5 third graders at the time who had kind of been getting into trouble lately. And he said, let's call them into my office. I'll have a treat for them, and you can talk to them. So like a week later, we brought them into the office. The principal had cookies for them, and I, you know, I told them that I saw what had happened. I brought them little $5 gift cards for Target, and I explained autism to them, and that Luca has autism, and that how it just warmed my heart to see them cheer him on like that, and how grateful I was. And they were so cute. And they said, you know, we see him at morning recess all the time, and he's by himself. So we've been trying to teach him how to play basketball. And, you know, I gave them some tips for how to interact with him. And it was so great, because now those kids, they're 2 years older than him forever, and they're always going to see him and run into him and say, you know, hey, Luca, high five, buddy. So I got a little 5 squad of kids that are watching out for him. And these are just little things. Last year, with everybody in shutdown, we did a Blue Heart Challenge in our neighborhood and in our school community, where we challenged people to do blue chalk hearts in front of their house. And then Luca and I would go for walks and try to find the blue hearts and take pictures of them. So that was fun, and kind of the only thing I could think of to do last year with the shutdown. I started a friendship project at the school last year for kids who were just wanted a little bit of extra help in making friends. We did it once a month. Some really sweet friendships were made. It was a great opportunity to pair people up. We just did little activities, and they just got to know each other and talk in a setting outside of being in the classroom. So that was a really fun one. This year, tomorrow, actually, I'm reading a book in Luca's class about, it's called No Such Thing as Normal, which talks about a variety of different things, like being blind, being deaf, having autism, just different things. So I'll share that with his 3rd grade class tomorrow. And then we're doing a art project, and then I'm sending them all blue chalk so that in April they can do a Blue Heart Challenge again. I also got the librarian to step in this year and help me. So through the month of April, she's going to be reading to all the classes, all the grade levels, different books about autism. And like for the older kids, she's going to do a biography on Temple Grandin, where they'll learn about her. So she's awesome. And the school staff has been amazing. In second grade, all the teachers got Evel shirts. It was their team t-shirt that they wore like every Friday. So it's just by sharing, they've opened up to us, and they're really grateful for insights or ideas or things that we have. The preschool now sends me new parents when they're newly diagnosed, just to help them if they have any questions and things like that. It's just been this really rewarding symbiotic relationship now that we have with his school. In our community sharing, we've had personal talks with all of our neighbors, because at first I remember one of the neighborhood kids coming over and saying, does Luca have some kind of disease or something? So we knew that it was time to have a chat with all the neighbors to make sure that they had the tools and resources that they needed to explain to their kids, what autism is. I've also seen somebody within our community send out a letter about a child that they have with autism who's older. I can't remember. He's interested in something. I think it's astronauts or space or something. They said he often walks around the neighborhood and he might catch you in a conversation about space. This is what he looks like, just so that people, if they meet him, they knew what to do, which I thought was a great idea. We have our annual golf tournament. We haven't had it. We didn't have it last year or this year, but hopefully next year we'll have that back up and running. I've done several podcasts to share our story, to get the word out there. And then we just share his gifts, as I call them, with our social circles. He tried for the last few years, his goal was to get into the Guinness Book of World Records with the most pogo jumps. I think his record is 19,800 or something, which took almost 4 hours one day. And then we found out, finally, we heard back from Guinness Book of World Records that you have to be 16 to do an endurance record. So he was pretty bummed, but he still likes to jump a lot. Math, he's amazing at math. He's got some incredible math skills, and he loves to golf. So doing the golf tournament has been fun for him, because he's in charge of a putting contest that we do every year, which he loves to be part of that. And so because we shared, it's just been this ripple effect. We have this supportive network that we've created, the Friendship Project. We've raised money to support Autism Tree and all the amazing things they're doing. Several people that I know have then gotten diagnoses for their kids, because now they know what to watch for and what signs to see. So they're getting that early intervention. We've educated a lot of people that are not in the autism world about what it looks like, what it is. I have a friend whose son was diagnosed, so she started her own podcast to talk about what it's like being a mom to a kid with autism. I have another friend whose son was diagnosed who wrote a book on nutrition and helping your kid's gut heal. I had a yoga student who wanted to include Evel as part of a university course. She teaches writing, and it was about making up words and their meanings behind them. So it became part of a university course. And all this just because we were like, it's time, we want to share. We don't see this as a negative thing. It's an amazing thing, because I am so curious as to what goes on in his brain and the way that he sees the world. I think it's so refreshing and unique and amazing. And Luca actually wrote this quote with his classmates yesterday, and I thought it was such a great one. It says, "I raise my voice, not so I can shout, but so those without a voice can be heard." And again, like I said, Luca is so verbal, that if it can help, especially anybody whose kids are young and still nonverbal and they don't know what to do, I hope that it helps at some point with that. But I love that quote, and I love that he wrote that yesterday. And so here's what we're doing for Autism Acceptance Month. I'm learning to change my verbiage. And so any of you on there, that if there's anything that I say that is not okay, or things that you're like, oh, somebody might take offense to that, please let me know, because I am evolving and learning. But I love that Autism Acceptance Month. our Embracing Autism Month, but I try to do as much as I can that month, because people are always willing to listen. So March 27th, I'm doing a virtual yoga class with a studio in San Jose, and they're donating all the proceeds from that class to Autism Tree. I'm going to talk about autism and love, and we'll do some yoga. April 2nd, which is International Autism Day, we're going to do a Blue Heart Challenge. The kids are going to be on spring break, so that's why I'm sending blue chalk to as many of the kids at the school as I can during the next few weeks, and challenge them to get a blue heart on their driveway or sidewalk before April 2nd. And then Luca and I will do our little blue heart scavenger hunt where we go around and take pictures. We're also going to do a blue thumb challenge, and I'm working with my niece who's in a sorority at USC. She really wanted to be part of what we're doing, and she came up with this one, which I love. So it's just a challenge to paint one of your thumbs blue for the month of April, because Luca loves math, and so we thought this was really fun. But if you paint one blue, it's 1 in every 54 kids that are diagnosed with autism. That kind of delighted him. So so we're going to do that because that's a fun one and accessible for most people. I also have a nail company that's jumped on board so that they can also do a give back to Autism Tree, which I'll talk about in a moment. But April 9th, we're going to do an Autism Tree parent support group virtual happy hour. I miss connecting with parents and being able to listen and share stories and give guidance, or at least just share is sometimes all you need to do. So Dan and Rebecca agreed that we could do a happy hour on April 9th. And because of that, I've also partnered with a wine company that does a give back as well. So not that you have to have wine to come to happy hour. It can be hot cocoa or tea or soda, whatever. But it's a chance to share. If you do want to purchase wine, they will give back to Autism Tree, which I love. April 10th, Glenn and I have been working together to organize a Jump for Autism challenge, a fun thing we're going to try to do a live event with jump roping with RX Jump Ropes, who he works with, and getting Luca's, of course, Luca loves jumping. So we're going to do a challenge, a big kickoff, hopefully live, and then make it a virtual challenge as well, where we're challenging people to do 54 jump ropes. Which I think will be a lot of fun. We're still working on some of the details for that, but stay tuned. April 16th, I'm going to do another happy hour, just tips to keep calm, some meditation, some breathing, things like that for kids. I'll get Luca to help me with that. And then April 23rd, I'm doing another happy hour with another mom of a kid with autism about picky eaters. Some tips to help kids just expand their taste and what they'll eat. These are some of the company partners that have agreed and jumped on board and are going to be donating to Autism Tree from now through the end of April, which is so exciting. One Hope Wines, like I said, and they have really cool stuff, customizable sparkling wines. If you have a big event coming up and you want to put a logo on it or anything like that, that's doable. I thought that was a really cool thing for gifts or for whatever, but they're going to be donating 10%. And all this you can access from our site, im-love.org. RX Jump Ropes, like I mentioned, Glenn we're gonna work on some fun things for that and some giveaways. Our Tribe Lip Balm, I don't know if Stephanie's on, she was gonna call in, but she's another mom with a kid with autism. She started her own lip balm company because he liked certain flavors, and she's been donating back to Autism Tree as well. And she created a blueberry lemon flavor for April. My Herbal Box, they're donating back to Autism Tree with herbs and gardening stuff and anything that you want to buy for spring. Color Street Nails, if you're a nail person and you want to get some nails or do our Blue Thumb Challenge, they're offering a give back as well. And then Wick and Vine Candles. So my call out, I guess, to all of you guys, if those are anything, if that's anything that you tend to purchase, then purchase from these vendors over the next few weeks, because it's going to make your heart feel good, because you know that part of it is going to be about giving back. So I'm grateful to all these companies. that's all. I feel like I just talked a lot. So if you guys have any questions or anything, please let me know. Let me make sure that I can see the chat box. Cool.
And now we can open it up to any questions. If anybody wants to engage with Wendy, now's the time. Thanks so much, Wendy. Everything you say is and do is so inspiring. And I always learn something new from your story, and I love hearing it every time. And for me, it's all about, I think you said autism equals awesome brain. That's what really stood out to me. But yeah. Thanks, John, for asking a question. He said, Wendy, how do you hide your angel wings while teaching yoga?
You come over and hang out at my house for a day and you'll see that there's no angel wings. I have my moments. Yeah, but Luke always says she's a mama and she's a real person and she gets mad and sometimes she's sad, sometimes she's happy, but she's a real person. That's his running verbiage that he uses and he repeats several times a day. So it's a good reminder for me. I also wanted to mention, if any of parents are out there, if you are considering getting vaccinated, you can. In group 1A, my husband and I are halfway there. We've done our first shot and planning to get our second one. I know that can be a tricky topic of discussion. So if you have questions about that, let me know, but it's always your choice. But it is available for parents out there if that's something that you're looking for.
Thank you.
Yay. Thanks, Glenn. Can't wait for everything coming up.
I'm so excited for shout out to Glenn Lasker. I'm so excited that you are doing something together. I'll add it to our calendars.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I wanted to say also, I was looking at the chat. Susanna says, you are inspiring. I'm motivated to follow your lead. Shannon Larson is a yogi friend and she
Oh, yay. I love Shannon. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Ruiz. Yay. Okay. I hope you can come to the Almaden thing. Shannon is a friend of mine up in San Jose who's an amazing yoga teacher. Yay. Thank you.
Well, everyone, I will include our all of Wendy's PowerPoint slides and all of the resources, the events that she has coming up, and the links to
IamLove-org. Yeah, because if you don't put the dash in, you're going to go to a dating website, and if that's what you need, you're welcome to go there. But if you want our resources, you got to put the dash in. Iam-love.org.
Thanks, Wendy. So I'll include it in the recap email. If anybody has any questions, you can reach out to me and sign up for the April event that we have with Wendy. See you all there. So thanks, Wendy. Well, let's do a quick group picture.
Okay, group picture.
All right. Ready? If you want to turn on your cameras, you can. You are welcome. We want to see all your smiles. Okay. 1, 2, 3, cheese. There we go.
Thank you, everybody. Wendy, thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
I've seen everybody.
So lovely.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
See you next week.